Hi, it's April 2025 and I didn't actually realise this until very recently, but Esbit fuel, hexamine tablets, are illegal and have been illegal since the end of 2023, and possession of hexamine fuel tablets can land you with a 2-year prison sentence and a massive fine. So I've been looking at what alternatives can you use. I bought this little alcohol burner off of the Temu. It was about £6. And one of the problems with alcohol stoves is you can barely see the flame if it's burning. If you kick this over, it's going to spill burning meths all over whatever surface you've got it stood on. So I sort of started having a think, and you can make your own little alky stove out of an old 20-gram Vaseline tin. I bought a 3-metre length of 10mm diameter stove rope off of Amazon. This was £1.97, and you cut a length off, pack it really tightly in there, fold it round, pack it in, and you pour your meths or whatever on there, and you've got a little alky stove. Super light, super compact, without any fuel or anything in it. That weighs 23.69 grams. This Temu alcohol stove on its own weighs 106 grams. So super light, because you pour the meths in there. If you knock it over, it's not going to spill everywhere. It's safer, it's cheaper, it's lighter. I really enjoyed making this. It's super simple, anyone can do it. So £1.09 for a tin of Vaseline, £1.97 for your stove rope. I last bought this meths for a litre for what was it, £7.31 for two 500ml bottles off of Amazon. So for around a tenner, you've got a complete setup there. There's enough of this stove rope in here to make, I don't know, probably 8, 9, 10 of these. Any little tin will do. So this as well fits really nicely into my existing Esbit stove. Folds away. There you go. That's an all-in-one solution there. I made some homemade little windshields for this out of some cut off and folded bits of like those slightly thicker aluminium foil pie tin type of things. Obviously alcohol stoves are really sensitive to wind, so having a something to put it on to, number A, protect the ground, number B, act as a pot stand, and number C, to act as a wind shelter. It's good because I can still use my beloved little German Esbit stove. That'll go in there. This is a fabulous little solution. I've been out with the boys today into the woods, went for a little walk, and we just cooked some sausages on there, had a little picnic in the woods. Lovely, just the job. Bit of meth, that's a 500ml bottle, so I decant a bit into this. This is just an old, it was a travel shampoo bottle from some hotel somewhere, I think. I don't know how much is in there. 30ml, I guess. I'm going to estimate it about 30ml. That gives me 2 burns, 2 full pots in there, 2 burns, full right to the top. And I'm going to do a little experiment just to see if this can boil 500ml of water. The other thing that I did come across also was that I do love this little lightweight stove. I've used it a fair bit over the years, but hexamine has been taken away as an option, so what else? And then I started reading a few bits online in forums and things that people have been recommending, or some people have been discussing using firelighters as an alternative to hexamine fuel. Just actual firelighters. So I've seen just not many, but a few videos of people using Weber firelighters. Create a load of soot on the bottom of your pan. I'm not really bothered about a bit of soot on my pan, so I bought some of the Weber or Weber lighter cubes. These are the white ones in a little individual packet, and these Weber or Weber natural lighter cubes, which are made of some kind of wood pulp, I think. So these are the white sort of chemically ones, come in their own little pack, so you can stash them away in your bag. Yeah, these ones are some kind of pulped natural material. So yeah, I'm going to do a comparison between one of those, and one of those to see if we can get 500ml of water to boil in a little camp cook pot. This is just a crap one. I've never actually used it. I can't find my decent one, so I'll just have it in this pot using the Esbit stove as a base, pot stand and windshield, and we'll see what the results are. Oh, you can buy imitation Temu Esbit stoves as well that come with sturdier windshield sides and a little stand as well that goes on top for about £2.60, £2.80, something like that. They're heavier than these. But yeah, bargain if you want something like that off of Temu. So these Weber natural lighter cubes were £4.49 for 48, which is 9.3 pence each. The other white Weber lighter cubes, they were £3.86 for 22, which works out at 17.5p each. So both of these options are massively cheaper than Hexamine fuel blocks. And of course the other alternative to Hexamine fuel blocks that you can still legally buy now are the likes of the Fire Dragon fuel blocks. They're like a kind of gel block. Comes in little plastic packaging. Currently on Amazon, those are £6.49 for 12, so 54p each. Never actually used those. Seen some decent results on YouTube videos, but yeah, 54p each versus 17.5p each, or 9.3p each. If I have to use two of those to boil some water, then that's only 18p, isn't it? Versus 54p each, so much cheaper. Let's see if they can do the job. So we've had quite a sort of sunny, on and off sunny day today. It reckons it's about 15 degrees, but there's about a 15 miles an hour wind as well outside. I've got 500 mils of water in there, 1,000 mils of water in there. We're going to put 500 mils in. This has been sat out in 15 degrees temperature for about the last half an hour. So we'll just get that in the pot. I'm going to do the alcohol stove first because I suspect that's going to make a load less soot on the bottom of my pan. Well, it will, than either of those Firelighters. So do this one first. Looks like a little bottle of perfume, doesn't it? Splash a bit of that behind your ear. Yeah, that's about half the bottle has gone into there, full to the top. So we're going to do it just inside the garage, the door. The wind is still coming in. So let's light her up. That's it, we're going. Get the pot on, timer on, and lid on. Still quite a bit of wind whipping through that doorway there, but those gusts, it's definitely more than 15 mile an hour winds out there. 5¼ minutes. We've got some steam. We're not boiling. How's that flame doing? Not too much fuel left in there, I don't think, visually looking at it. Right, we're at 6 minutes. Still got flame and some steam. Okay, 7 minutes, still a little bit of fuel left. Not quite boiling. Just starting to boil a tiny bit there, but is the fuel gone? Oh, a tiny bit left. No, I think the fuel's gone. Tiny flame left on there. Come on, you can do it. Tiniest bit of flame left there. That really is right at the end. Yeah, we haven't got a boil of about 15 to 20 mils of mess in that little Vaseline tin. Still a few gusts of wind coming round, so still in perfect conditions. Yeah, probably, maybe, and definitely with a proper windbreak around, I think that would have done much better. Could you make a cup of coffee out of that? Yeah, possibly. Could you rehydrate a meal out of that? Yes, I think you could. Could you sterilise water? No. The stove itself is warm, but pick her up a bowl. Yeah, it cools down quickly. And you've got some warm water for a hot drink. That would work fine. Obviously, better with less wind, and it is a very small pot of fuel. So, yeah, just about okay as long as your water's already clean. Right, I'll throw this water out. We'll cool the pot back down, and we'll try it with some of the Weber fire starters and see what happens with that. So that kind of took about sort of 7.5 minutes to get up to temperature. So you could make a coffee, or you could warm one of those meals that needs rehydrating up. In terms of soot, yeah, almost nothing. Nice clean burn, a little bit around the edges there. Well, that's not bad, is it? See what a mess the Weber makes of the pot. So there's one of those Weber natural Firelighter blocks. I'm just going to pop it in a tiny bit of tin foil. Just try and keep a little bit of mess off there. Airflow still around it. Two sides of the windshield on. Another 500 mils of water in there. I've cooled the pot down. So let's try and light this one. Okay, she's going. Let's get the pot on. Lid on. Stopwatch on. So this is the Weber all natural Firelighter block. 9p each. I can see a ton of soot coming off there already. So So that's probably going to cake the pan. Like I say, I'm not too bothered about that really. We've got a cosy little flame under there. Smells quite nice, more like a natural wood fire. Let's just see how the flame is going. Yeah, burning nicely. Okay, nearly 6.5 minutes. Bubbles are getting a tiny bit bigger. Still a fair bit of fuel left, but at sort of 9p each, I'd be more than happy to chuck 2 of those on there, and I reckon that would get the job done for 18p just over. We're at 7.5 minutes. Let's have another gander. No, I keep taking the lid off, don't I? But you know, yeah, it's not going anywhere fast, but there's a bit of steam coming off. It's getting there. 8.5 minutes. Yep, no boil, but plenty of steam. So we're just coming up to 9 minutes. Let's just have a look at the fuel tablet. Yeah, still going. Let's just dip my finger in and see how warm that is. Yeah, warm. You could probably do a brew out of that, but I'd want it a bit hotter, ideally. Nearly 13 minutes though, so, you know, not bad. I'd bung 2 of them on there. In fact, I might do that at the end to see if that'll get it going to a boil. I can put my hands in, so it's not that hot, is it? But you could make a coffee out of that, or you could rehydrate a meal out of that, and that burnt for nearly 15 minutes. Quick soot check after the Weber All Natural. Yeah. Ton of soot on there. Say I'm not bothered really. We'll get it cleaned off so we can compare it to the Weber All White tablet. So that just feels like your standard kind of waxy firelighter, barbecue lighter. I'm just going to pop it on my little bit of foil just to try and keep some mess off the bottom of my stove. Last 500ml of water in there. Let's get the thing lit. Timu Zorro imitation Zippo there. It's a beauty, isn't it? The butane insert. We lit? No. Keeps going out. It's harder to light than the natural one. Oh, the meths. We lit now. Looks more like it. Right, let's get the pot on. Timer on. And the lid on. Fair bit of soot coming off there. Looks like more soot to me than the natural Weber natural firelighter. So again, I'm not bothered about a bit of soot. 3 minutes 15. Flame is good. A few little bubbles at the tiny base of the pot. Okay, about 6.5 minutes. Ooh, getting some bubbles there. Oh, it actually looks quite cute with that flame and the smoke coming up the sides. I mean, a gas canister is going to be so much more efficient, isn't it? But it's a real flame here and some real smoke. It's got character, even though that's a little chemical block. Obviously, with this type of stove, you can feed in twigs and things like that. So we're at kind of 9 minutes. But we've nearly got a boil, kind of 9 minutes. But, you know, that is going to be high enough to do a brew or something like that. Let's just see if it'll get to a boil before it goes off. 10.5 minutes. Has it gone out? Yeah, it's gone out at 10.5. Getting a ton of soot on there. If you're out in the woods, you give that a wipe with some grass or mud or whatever. Wash it when you get home. 17p a go. Yeah, it's alright, I think. It's alright. Get a warm drink. You're not going to be able to boil and sterilise water, but yeah, that's alright. That is. What do you reckon, chaps? Just because I said I would and just because I want to see what's going to happen, I'm going to get 2 of these Weber natural firelighter blocks in there and see if that'll bring 500ml of water to the boil. Yeah, they're not bad to light. Timer going. Getting on 4 mins. Yeah, we're getting little bubbles there. Cubes are burning well. Tons of smoke. So no good for stealth camping. 4 minutes 45. Yeah, we've nearly got a little boil there. Sort of starting to want to boil, isn't it? But tons of fuel left in there. Are we going to get hot enough? I don't know. To be honest, my experience with Esbit, it's never really come to a rolling boil, really, ever, when I've used it, Hexamine. So that's hot enough for a drink, for sure. At less than 6 minutes, that's not bad. I'd be happy to take a couple of those little wooden blocks with me, have a load of soot on my cup, but have a nice warm drink at the end of the day. As long as you don't mind creating a ton of smoke. Okay, 7:45. Very gentle boil going on there, kinda. Loads of fuel left on those. 8.5 minutes. Same sort of thing. Is that about as good as we're going to get? Maybe. 9.5 minutes. Yep, sort of. I think that's the extent to which we're going to get the boil, really. 11 minutes 15. Yeah, that's as much boil as we're going to get off 2 of those Weber all natural fire starters. But like I say, that's warm enough for a brew, and it was several minutes ago. So I'd say a decent cheap option, as long as you don't need a rolling boil. So yeah, not a very scientific test or anything that, and something like a gas stove is going to be much more efficient, but these things are much more bulky. I mean, it fits in a lot of pots, doesn't it, everything, but much heavier, much more bulky. And what did I see? Some review saying that this cooking on this has no soul. I quite like cooking on a flame because it's got soul. Alcohol stoves, I really like this, the fact that I've made it and everything, and it cost me pennies. This was really cheap from Temu. It's okay. It's much smaller, much lighter, and I love the fact that you can make it for just so cheap. For a little walkout like the one that me and my kids had today, this worked absolutely fine for cooking a few sausages on. You know what I mean? That was a bit of fun. The fuel tablets as well, the homemade alcohol stove and the white Weber tablets and the all natural Weber tablets can both bring 500 mils of water up to warm enough to make a brew or to make a little packet meal with. So for super lightweight options, yeah, that's all right. That, don't know whether the crapness of that aluminium pot I used makes any difference. I have got a titanium one somewhere, can't find it. Hot food and hot drinks aren't essential, are they? But they're nice to have if you're on a hike or camping. Take it easy, mate. All right, see you later.